time of Lent, most Catholics take upon themselves some sort of sacrifice or some additional thing they will be doing, and oftentimes this can be very difficult. But the number one thing that I hear complaints about isn't those things that they've chosen. It's those 2 days where the Catholic people are told to fast. Why do we have to fast? Does God just want us all to suffer? Does He like when we're miserable? Obviously, no. So I wanted to look at the spiritual reasons for fasting, as well as the science of what's happening to our bodies when we fast. The general concept of fasting has been around for centuries. In fact, humans are evolutionarily built for fasting. The earliest of humans didn't know where their next meal would come from, so they would eat when they caught an animal, but then their bodies would go through a period of fasting until they were able to find another animal, which might be an extended period of time. So what are our bodies doing at that time? When we eat, our pancreas creates a hormone called insulin. Insulin allows your body to use sugar from carbohydrates in the food that you eat for energy, or to store glucose for future use. Cells in your body need sugar for energy, but sugar needs insulin in order to get into those cells. It attaches to the cells and tells them that it's okay to eat the sugar. If cells in our body need sugar for energy, what do cells do during that time when we fast? When those early humans didn't have some big animal to eat? Without insulin, our cells can't absorb the sugar. So you would think we would be lethargic and tired without that energy. But if that were the case, we would have died out a long time ago because the hunter-gatherer people wouldn't have had any energy to get back out on the hunt. What is actually happening when our insulin levels are low is that our body burns that stored glucose and it begins to burn the stored fat. This time of fasting actually increases our metabolism, giving us extra energy because evolutionarily they needed a lot more energy when they didn't have food and needed to hunt than when they were eating and they had plenty. Disclaimer, extended periods of fasting or extended periods without insulin can obviously be dangerous because insulin helps us regulate our metabolism and distribute the energy that we are putting into our bodies. Please consult a nutritionist or doctor before attempting something more extreme. But fasting in general has been around for thousands of years, as I said, and people have safely used this method to help regulate their bodies. Science has shown that intermittent fasting can stabilize blood sugar levels, increase resistance to stress, suppress inflammation, decrease blood pressure and cholesterol levels, improve resting heart rate, and improve brain health and memory. These are all really good things, so it's understandable that many major religions have some sort of fasting built into their teachings. Catholicism itself follows the instruction of Christ in the Gospel when he says, "And whenever you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by your Father." Fasting should not be gloomy or make us bitter. Even though it is a time of self-denial, it should bring us joy, and that joy is what we should be sharing with the world. If this is a bit confusing, I understand. The world tells us that when we feed our physical desires, then we will truly be happy. But Deacon Sabatino Carnazzo put it nicely when he said, "The whole purpose of fasting is to put the created order in our spiritual life in a proper balance." In an article for the Catholic News Agency, he continued, "As bodily creatures in a post-fallen state, it's easy to let our lower passions for physical goods supersede our higher intellect." He explained, "We take good things for granted and reach for them whenever we feel like it, without thinking, without reference to the one who gives us the food, and without reference to the question of whether it's good for us or not." A powerful quote about how the things of this world aren't inherently bad, but that we must partake of them with the right mindset. And fasting can help with that. Just as Jesus told us how to fast, he also showed us through his example why we fast when he went out into the desert in the book of Matthew. At that time, Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert to be tempted by the devil. He fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was hungry. the tempter approached. Jesus knew he was going to be tempted. He knew this, and so he fasted. It wasn't until he had completed his fast that the tempter approached. The Lord fasts in preparation, just as we should fast in preparation for our daily encounters with temptation. As Catholics, we are only obligated to fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. Just 2 days. That's not that much. And the Church asks this of us when we're going through Lent and the crucifixion. 2 major times of our Catholic faith where we reflect on the evil and death in this world. With this in mind, there are many other times that we as Catholics are asked, not required, asked, to fast. This happens when there are major tragedies in the world. We believe that our fasting and our prayers will help to right the situation for ourselves and the whole world. I recently came across this amazing quote from St. Basil the Great. He says, "Fasting gives birth to prophets and strengthens the powerful. Fasting makes lawgivers wise. Fasting is a good safeguard for the soul, a steadfast companion for the body, a weapon for the valiant, and a gymnasium for athletes. Fasting repels temptations, anoints unto piety. It is the comrade of watchfulness and the artificer of chastity. In war, it fights bravely. In peace, it teaches stillness." So when we as a church are called to fast, it's not because God wants us to suffer. The Catholic Church teaches that we as humans are body-soul composites. This means that God values our souls and our bodies. We are taught that God took one of these human bodies, so it must not be bad or evil. With this teaching in mind, it is silly to think that God would require something of us purely to punish the body. Instead, with the science we know about fasting, it's quite amazing to see that not only does it correct our minds and our souls to focus on the one who gives us our earthly needs, but it actually helps our bodies. We're healing our bodies when we fast. It is just awesome to see newer science bring to light the beauty of older Catholic teachings, the beauty of traditions that have been around for centuries. Almost done. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos. Leave a comment if there's any particular topic that you would like me to cover. If you just want more information of the day-to-day interactions between faith and science, head over to my website at www.catechistscientist.com to read my blog and for links to my social media. On both Instagram and Twitter, you can find me at IST2. If you like this content and would like to help keep it going, please head over to patreon.com/IST2 for some fun extra content and to help fund this exciting enterprise. Thanks.